AI is not going to replace humans because it can't replace empathy. It can't replace intuition. It, again, is a fantastic pattern recognition system. And it can make some what feel like intuitive leaps because of the amazing patterns that it's recognizing that we probably wouldn't even recognize because we can't collate and analyze that much data. But without intuition, without empathy, it comes to some conclusions that are really bad because it's analyzing data without that human element.
In this episode of the Scaling Therapist podcast, I sit down with Adrienne Wilkerson, CEO and co-founder of Beacon Media and Marketing. I loved our conversation about how her team helps therapists and health professionals grow their practice, not just with gobs and gobs of marketing, but the right marketing with a human connection. We talked about how the world, therapists and the world really is just wrestling with how do we use AI and take advantage of what it brings to us, but keep the human element, keep what makes us special. And she has just a grounded, practical view of how marketing works and what the real reason why people choose you over other people. Why do they do that? She's going to share in this episode. She's also going to share about how to make marketing feel like you again and how to connect with your ideal client. And it all starts with just tapping into your best resource, you being authentically you. If you have ever felt stuck trying to sound right instead of being yourself, this conversation is going to help you reset and move forward with clarity. Before we begin, I want to give you a resource if you're feeling stuck. If you keep putting things off because you're not sure what the next step is, this resource is for you. For me, it was fear. I have a lot of fear and anxiety about my ability to be successful, about what it would take to maintain success. And if I'm honest, I've put off doing some things because of just this fear of, can I do it? Can I be successful? Now that might not be your fear. You probably have something unique and special to you. But if you've paused on something that matters to you, there's a good chance that fear is part of what's holding you back. If you're ready to start moving again, I want to give you this free resource called the Unpause Playbook. It will help you take your next step and reconnect with the excitement of living on purpose, of living out your mission. So go to coursecreationstudio.com/unpause to get started and put your mission in motion. Now, on to the interview with Adrienne. Hello, and welcome back to the Scaling Therapist podcast. I'm your host, James Marland. This is the show where I help therapists take their wisdom and turn it into additional streams of income. Today, I'm here with Adrienne Wilkerson, CEO and co-founder of Beacon Media and Marketing. I met her and we talked about, I met her at a conference and we talked about marketing and media and therapists and just like how important it is, but how difficult it is. And just how I know as a solopreneur, I want to do it all myself, but it's not always the best thing to do. And so I said, hey, let's do a podcast show about this. She graciously agreed to be on the show. Adrienne, thank you so much for being on the Scaling Therapist podcast.
I'm so excited to be here. I'm so glad. It's always amazing the people you get to meet at conferences. And then when it rolls into things like this, it's always a joy. So thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah. And I want to pick your brain about a couple things. We're going to talk mostly today about marketing and connection. And the start of the conversation is about AI, because AI is all over the place. Like,
yes,
AI, I'm going to replace my social media manager. AI, I'm going to replace my blog, my web page developer. I subscribe to AppSumo. It's like a place where you get cheap or new apps. And they're always like, click here and you build your website in one click and do everything in one click. And I'm like, oh, like, what am I missing out on something? and start there about how AI is, how it works and how it doesn't work, and some of the pitfalls for marketing your therapy practice.
Yeah. No, I'm really glad you brought that up. I think there's so much mystery around AI, so much transition, so much all over the place. And so, even for us as marketers living in this world and trying to navigate through it, I feel like it changes moment to moment, day to day, for sure. So, I will say everything that I'm going to say today, take it with a grain of salt. But I do try to chalk more in concepts and theories around AI because the details are changing so often.
Oh, it's only been out 3 years. Just imagine how much change has gone on in what we do day to day.
Mhm.
Even in Google, the web browser,
Oh, man.
like Gemini is now on my Chrome browser. It says click
Yes.
here to
Yep.
read your tab. I'm like, oh my word. It is so fast,
It is.
but it's changing things. So yeah,
It
grain of
is.
salt, but where are
Yeah.
we today?
Yeah, so the some of the kind of foundational concepts around AI that I think are really important to remember is that AI is an amazing pattern recognizer. It is fantastic at it, but all the answers it's giving you, everything that it's trying to do or produce for you is the result of patterns that it's recognizing and reproducing. And so, from that standpoint, at least for right now, and I hope this doesn't change, to be honest, AI is not going to replace humans because it can't replace empathy. It can't replace
Mm,
intuition. It, again, is a fantastic pattern recognition system. And it can make some very, what feel like intuitive leaps because of the amazing patterns that it's recognizing that we probably wouldn't even recognize because we can't collate and analyze that much data. But without intuition, without empathy, it comes to some conclusions that are really bad
yeah,
because it's analyzing data without that human element.
context. Somebody said
Yes.
the AI is great at processing all this data, but if it doesn't have the right context of where you're at or who your
Mhm.
clients are or what your needs
Exactly.
are or the language, those like subtle
Mhm.
things that
Yes.
humans do like
Instinctively.
automatically, instinctively,
Yeah.
it will produce something that sounds good and it will try to convince you that it's good. But if you
Mhm.
really knew the difference between good and bad, you would be like, oh, this is really bad. Here's an
Correct.
example of pattern recognition. Do you ever wonder why a lot of AI pictures have this yellow hue to it? Have you seen those things?
I
Like,
have, but, yeah.
yeah, it comes out slightly yellow. I read an article that said the data that that it used to train on images was older photographs that have that sepia yellowish
Mhm.
color.
Yep.
So it says out of 10 million pictures, 800 million of them have this yellow hue.
Right.
That means I'm going to produce something that has a yellow hue. Now,
Mhm.
you might not want a yellow hue, and it might
Right?
look like something that you asked for, but it's going to inject its context into what you want. And that
Mhm.
it's great at pattern recognition, but if you don't want that yellow hue, you're going to have to like really engineer it and tell it not to
Mhm.
do those things. Yeah, AI it tells you what you think it wants to hear. And so
Yeah.
yeah, that's not great for that human connection, right?
No, it's not because you're really only the quality of what you get out of AI is really only as good as the prompts that you give it. And so that's the part where, at least at this point, I keep coming back to AI isn't going to replace humans, but people who use AI will
Mm,
replace humans who won't use it
mhm,
because it can speed up what we do. It can, help us process through a lot more data and be able to make better decisions, potentially market better to people we want to build a connection with. But it's not going to create that connection in and of itself. We still have to add that human element in. And so, oftentimes, the thing that I just say at the end of the day, AI is an amazing helpmeet. It's a good co pilot, but it's not going to be able to fly that airplane. I mean, maybe figuratively or realistically down the road, but
yeah.
figuratively
I
for right
gotcha.
now, yeah, it's a great thought support, but it should never replace actual human connection. And that's really at the end of the day what marketing should be about, is establishing that connection human to human. And this gets more intricate, much more difficult to navigate the more that we keep existing in this digital world. It's harder and harder to create connection. And, the therapist world, mental health world has some unique challenges that can be barriers to creating true connection that honestly is a little easier in other industries and more challenging for the mental health world, to be sure.
Yeah, I did a lot of mental health intakes in my,
Mhm,
my first 20 years of a career, and people they came in skeptical. Like, are
mhm.
you why, are you really here? They're asking, are you really here to help? Do
Yes.
you really care? Am I just
Mhm.
a number to you? Am I just a paycheck to you?
Right.
And when you could connect with them and have some compassion, some empathy, some human understanding,
Mhm.
they would open up. And when
Mm.
they opened up, they got help and support. And when
Right.
they didn't feel that, there was they were skeptical and they didn't
Right.
follow the the doctor's instructions.
Right.
So probably that's a pitfall of I would think,
Mhm.
right? It doesn't do the human connection, at least not right now. It doesn't replace what humans bring to the equation, which is
Mhm.
vitally important for the therapist. Would you agree with that?
I absolutely would agree. And I mean, again, that's where AI can create a good rough draft. It can create maybe a good first attempt at that blog or that social media post or content for your website. But I said we can never copy and paste straight out of AI into something because people pretty much instinctively know. I mean,
Hmm.
whether they get hung up on the M dashes or not, which is a thing for me because 'cause I'm a writer. I have been writing to date myself amateurly, professionally since, late 1990s, and I've been using M dashes forever, and I don't like that
Mm.
AI stole but but now that's a thing, like, if you use M dashes, it's AI. The time that's an easily recognizable thing that people pick out now, but instinctively, there's almost always a reaction to purely AI written stuff. And even if we can't pinpoint what that is, there's still it's kind of flat. There's nothing that hooks my heart and makes me wanna keep reading. It just kind of feels
Yeah.
lifeless, a little
Yeah.
flat.
I use AI to help me organize my thoughts for my
Uh-huh.
solo podcast episodes,
Yeah.
and I will give it a topic and probably a document. I have like lots of documents and training materials on it, and then I will talk into it for a few minutes,
Mhm.
just my ideas. Then I'll be like, help me organize my thoughts into a cohesive outline. And
Yeah.
then what it spits out is grammatically correct but lifeless.
Yes. Yes. Mhm.
And like the stories and the heart I poured into, and I talk, I do voice work, like
Yeah.
text to speech stuff. It's
Mhm.
gone. It's
Yeah.
like sanitized and removed. And so I have
Yep.
to go back in and add my stories. And that's not exactly that.
Right.
There's no connection. There's no heart here.
Mhm.
It just missed it. Even though I have, what are they called? GPTs and templates and like
Yeah.
automatic instructions for it, it
Mhm.
still takes away, it makes it grammatically perfect, but humanly void. So
Yes.
people can tell. So
Yeah.
let's talk. We were chatting about connection and how to build connection so that you are chosen over other people. Like, everybody's like, a lot of people have web pages and social media ads and marketing and all
Mhm.
these types of things, but you really have this passion for helping uh, therapists and business owners really connect with people on the human level. Can you
Mm.
talk about that a little bit, and what are some of the things you can do to
Yeah.
increase that connection?
Yeah, I think to me, the heart of marketing is to build connection. And, you know, it's a term I've heard a lot in the business world as I've, grown up in it. But we as humans, we hate being sold. And we can tell when we're being sold. and that's a turnoff, right? But we like to buy, whether it's a consumerism stuff or if we're really looking for help. We're wanting help. We're wanting to buy help in this case from somebody. And when we just keep running into ads and marketing that makes us feel like a number, we're just going to keep going until we find somebody that we feel like we know, like, and trust. And that's that connection piece. And so when our marketing comes from a place of connection first, it has a whole different tone to the marketing. And at the end of the day, yes, our marketing is about creating leads and new clients and funding our business. Because if we don't have a business, we can't help people. It's a cycle. But I feel like, just like we were talking about AI, there's a fundamental flatness to it, if you will. And marketing that starts with the goal of just lead gen, as opposed to marketing that starts with from the point of view of connection. One still feels flat to me. The other one feels like there's heart to it. There's a life behind it. I feel like I matter when marketing companies or therapists start with, how do I connect with my ideal client? Because if you connect with your ideal client, the likelihood of them wanting to do business with you, wanting to come see you, wanting what you have to help them in their life is so much greater. And I think that's where a lot of therapists, and I grew up with a therapist as a father. He just retired after 30 years. So I've grown up in this world. My husband was a behavioral health counselor for many years as well. So I'm very familiar with the back end of how mental behavioral health addiction recovery world works. And I know that most therapists, they got into this business to help people, and they want to help as many people as possible. So telling them they have to focus on an ideal client is really hard, but it's so important. There's another term in business that none of us business owners like to hear, but everybody is nobody.
Yes.
You can't help everybody. You can't be all things to all people. And so we're seeing this more and more in the mental and behavioral health world as people niching down. What's my passion? Is it ABA therapy? Is it, you know, ketamine to help people get through addictions? Is it eating disorders? Is it helping parents who have a child with a disability? How do they help their marriage as they're walking through raising a child with disabilities? And so, yes, you could probably help a lot of people, but who's really core to your heart? Why did you become a therapist? There's usually a really good story, sometimes a very tragic one, but there's usually a very specific reason that triggered you into therapy. For my father, his stepdad was an alcoholic, and he grew up most of his life the child of an alcoholic. And so when he became an adult, he didn't want to get married. He didn't want to have kids. He did not want to pass this on to the next generation. And then he met my mom, and everything changed. And so now he's like, I got to figure this out. And so he started going on this personal journey of growth and discovered adult children of alcoholic syndrome. And he's like, oh, this is not just me. This is something a lot of people struggle with. And so that launched him into a 30 plus years of being a therapist. And so that was core to his practice when he started and he ended up branching out and hiring other therapists and, became quite a big deal. But that was his start. That was his passion, was, how do I help other people that are struggling with what I'm struggling with or what I struggled with? And so you got to niche down, because that's where you're able to build real connection, because there's a story, there's a reason for getting started. And so with therapists, it's hard because we don't want to project our issue or our things onto our patients. And we don't want there to be, too much of sometimes an unhealthy connection can happen. And so therapists are trained not to share too much of their personal story. So this becomes hard. Then how do you establish connection if you're not wanting to get too deep into that? So one of the things we tell our therapists that we work with, and this is not an easy thing, but it's a very important thing, is video. And what I liked about what you shared about your story is when you were doing those intakes, a lot of times you were able to make connection with them. And we can duplicate some of that with video. And the great thing about the way that video is working now is it doesn't need to be polished. In fact, it should not be overproduced. We're not talking, camera sets and boom mics and,
Yeah.
18. So we're not thinking,
Yeah.
studio here. And that's what a lot of us think when we think of, I have to be on camera. And it's
But that
no,
studio isn't authentic to you, and it wouldn't be authentic to
exactly,
your client. Like, if you
exactly.
were the studio, if you're not a studio type person
Mhm.
and your clients aren't studio type people, but you think that's what you have to do, so you
Right.
go out and spend all this money on the studio, you're probably repelling the people that would
Absolutely.
fit with you. I love
Yes.
that that's gold right there. That
Yeah.
that is amazing. You don't
So
have to be somebody else.
you don't, and in fact, you said it beautifully. People are not going to respond to that well. And the people that do are probably not your ideal client
Nope.
either. We really encourage people get a decent tripod, get some good lighting. You don't want, half your face in shadow or, the darkness right here, all you can see is a mouth moving. But get a decent camera, get some good lighting,
Uh,
and share stuff that is relevant to your ideal clients. So, if you're specializing in anxiety, for example, talk about specific situations that could instigate anxiety and give a tip on how to navigate that situation. Keep it to like 20, 30 seconds. Keep it short, keep it sweet, and by that, I mean keep it authentic. Be real. Make eye contact with the camera. Think of yourself as sitting there talking to a patient. If your patient walked in and described this situation that triggered anxiety in them, what would you tell them? What would be the short version of what you would tell them? But what would you tell them? And share that. Now, there are definitely areas where when you're posting those videos, it's important to put disclaimers in with those to say, you're not providing advice. These are not your patients. So there,
right.
there are definitely some things there, but when you present it as being helpful, let me share some tips that could help you.
Mm,
So there's ways to kind of frame it where you're not actually giving them counseling as if they were in a session with you, but you're using that to connect with them because if you're again specializing in people with anxiety, are treating people with this. You know that what situations tend to trigger anxiety, and it's going to be
yeah.
different for everybody, right? But there's definitely some that you can share, and whether they're your patient or not, share a little story and share, here's a tip. That's one way to be able to make connection with people because they can see your face, they can see your reaction, they can see as at least this much body language, kind
Mhm.
of a thing. But again, don't overproduce them, keep them short, and just keep them very real. And that's, for example, a
Yeah.
good way. And all of your marketing really should come through the lens of how do I build connection? How do I help the people that I want to connect with? And that will shift the tone of what you put out versus just citing a bunch of services or just citing a bunch of data facts or bios. So really
There's
think,
a there's a
mhm,
book by Matthew Dix. I think it's called Storyworthy. I was going to look it up as yours.
yeah,
He's from the Moth podcast.
okay.
Uh, and he really helps you do what you're talking about and take those 5-second moments of understanding and turn it
Mm,
into something that connects with other people. And as you
yeah.
were talking about anxiety, I was like, oh, I have a perfect story. I went to a mastermind with
Mm,
other business leaders, And I kept comparing myself to them. Whoa, they are way farther ahead in their career than I am. And if I speak up, I'm going to be made fun of. And they'd be like, those are dumb
Sure. Yeah.
questions. And so I was like, mousing it a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And somebody was like, hey, James, we were talking and you had this question. And so then I was like forced out there without any
Right.
preparation to
Yeah.
just be like, I was planning on being quiet and now I have to talk. And so I asked my question and the leader and the group discussed it and we had a good conversation. And I
Wow.
was like, I conquered my anxiety a little bit. And then the rest of the mastermind went a little better after I
Sure.
got over that first hump
Mhm.
of anxiety of sharing some things.
Yeah.
And there, people listening to this right now probably have, if multiple stories about whatever specialty or niche that they are in, they have that story. But and
Mhm.
they'll have, and if you watch for them, you'll have one tomorrow. You will
Yes.
have a story about exactly what you want to talk about. It's not the mountaintop moments that people want to hear about. They don't want to hear
Right.
about your vacation to Hawaii or whatever. They
No.
want to hear about that small moment when you were afraid to drive in traffic on the DC
Mm.
highway or
Right.
like I hate the DC highway.
Oh boy. Yeah.
It's so busy and I avoid it. But there's a story there. Why do I avoid it? Because I had a bad experience on the
Right.
highway. So
Yeah.
those things you're not talking about, you're not sharing there's boundaries there, but you're sharing
Mhm.
that connection, that
Right.
what makes you human, what you said, the know and trust factor.
Mm.
Why would they choose you,
Right.
over somebody else? They
Mhm.
got to know you. They got to like you, and then you got to trust them. And if you're just using AI that removes your humanity,
Yep.
you're missing out.
Mhm. Yeah.
Uh,
I
I
agree.
had a couple other points. One is if people love to buy, but they hate being, this is a callback to like 10 minutes ago, but people love to buy, but they hate being sold to. If they're Googling anxiety services or relationship services, therapists in my area, they're not looking they want something. They have a problem.
Right.
They want it solved. They
Yeah.
want to buy something. Once they have started to search, they are looking for a solution. So
Mhm.
the more you can do to connect with your ideal person, to show that you understand them, you know what they're going through, and that you have the solution, the quicker you can do that, the easier it is for them to make that
Mhm.
purchase for them.
Yeah.
So, and then the last thing is, you said, if you're everybody is nobody. If you can sell to everybody, you're selling to nobody. How I
Yes.
like to listen to that, or how I view that, is if if you have a boat and everybody can get on it, if it's for everybody, then nobody will be getting on it because they don't know where they're going.
Right.
They don't know if you can help them. They don't know the destination.
Right.
You're not specialized enough. But if you're going
Mhm.
to England, I'm on the East Coast, so a boat from New York City to England.
Yeah.
If you wanted to go to England, you would get on that boat. But if you're just getting on a boat for a boat ride,
Yeah.
nobody will get on your boat because
Nope.
they want to go somewhere.
Right.
Like you're not
Wanna
so
know you're
unless they
going where
just
they wanna go. Yeah.
yeah. So unless you're just selling like friendship, I'll listen to you, that's not, you're not gonna, anyways, that
Mhm.
I just loved how you said your things and I was
Yeah.
excited about how you were presenting it and processing it. So as we wrap up, do you have a tip on how to create that connection? Video is one tip. Actually, I think video is
Mhm.
it's a gold
Mhm.
star of the
Yeah.
podcast here. Do you have any other tips before we tell people where they can find you?
I think another big one is really take a deeper look at your bio on your website, and make sure that it goes beyond your credentials and the kind of thing that everybody puts on there. Again,
Mm,
can you tell a story? Can you create connection? If you can do a video bio, that's amazing. But that's a really simple one, is to take another look at your bio, and does it really create connection? Does it tell your why? Or
mm,
does it just cite off where you went to school and your credentials? And all of that's important too. But it should be wrapped up in a story and a why that matters to the person who's looking at it. So it's really
mm,
not about you, it's about the person that you're trying to build connection with. And does your bio create connection?
Yeah. Can they see themselves in you, and
Mhm.
do they want to be like you? That resident identity, I see the connection, and they're where I want to go. They're who I want to be. That type of connection is gold. Adrienne, this has been wonderful. I'm sure we could talk a lot longer, but you have a lot of resources on your webpage and some services that
Mhm.
you offer. If people are
Yeah.
interested in using this type of marketing and creating that connection, where do they go and what will they find there?
Yeah. Thank you for asking. Our website's a great resource, like you said, a beaconmm.com. We've got some great articles on there, kind of goes over our list of services, who our ideal client is. And hopefully, if you're that, we're going to create some connection with you on our website. We're also on all the major social media channels. Beacon MM is usually the handle there. I'm very heavily involved in LinkedIn personally, so as CEO and founder. So if anybody wants to follow me there, I'm always looking for new connections and love to answer marketing questions. We also have the Beacon Way podcast. You can find us on all the podcast places as well as YouTube. And that's another a great resource for people who want to learn more about marketing and how to run a business and how to navigate being a leader and a therapist, having to lead your business as well as being a therapist. So yeah, hope you out there follow us and we can build some connection.
Yeah, yeah, that's wonderful, and I love your approach. I love the connection first approach. People, as a business owner, I want results, but how do you get there? There's different approaches on how to get there, and I love the connection first. It's like it taps into the heart. Like
Mhm,
why? Like if I can connect with people and I understand how I can help them and why they're choosing me and what I'm bringing and what's special about what I'm doing. It's such a joy. Like you're not
mhm.
selling really. You're serving the people that you can
Yes,
help the most because they're
absolutely.
connected to you and you're connected to them. And
Mhm.
at the end of the day, it's not a chore. It's a joy. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
work, but it's just different. And
yeah,
I hope that everybody gets to experience that in their career. So, Adrienne,
yeah.
thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
All right, listeners, thanks so much for listening. It's now time to get connected to your ideal customer and put your mission in motion. Thanks again to Adrienne for sharing her wisdom and reminding us that the human connection is what matters. I particularly loved the section about creating those little short videos and connecting with your audience through your personal stories, and then re-examining your bio page and making sure it is connecting and talking to your audience. If you've been feeling stuck or unsure of your next step, make sure you grab the Unpause playbook at coursecreationstudio.com/unpause. It's going to help you move forward again so that you can put your mission back in motion. Finally, a special thank you to our pro-level sponsors of the Scaling Therapist Services Directory. That's Hey Bossco, Profit Comes First, and Freedom Business Solutions. Thank you so much for your support. We couldn't do this without you. That's scalingtherapistservices.com, and you can find services to help you grow your therapy business. Thanks again for being listeners to the show. You are why I do this. I'm here to help you and support you. Keep showing up, keep serving, and we'll see you next time.